Oh shit. Oh my god. What's going on, everybody? This is Caddy with Money Investing. I'm so sorry. I'm still trying to figure out this live stream stuff. It's just, it's so different. It's like I try to go live. Sometimes I'm not live. It's just like all over the place. So I do apologize for the delay. I mean, I thought I was live earlier, but it just did not happen apparently. So, but anyway, if you guys can hear me okay, if you guys can see the screen and all that good stuff, let me know in the live chat. I would really appreciate that. I hope you guys can see me, and I hope you guys can hear me okay. So right now it shows concurrent views 132, 27 likes. So can you guys hear me? Okay, good. I am so sorry. It's just, it's YouTube technology. It's like working with YouTube and then working with my OBS studio for the stream key. It's just like, I really don't know what's going on. And yesterday I was live for 6 minutes without even knowing it. So somebody then messaged me and they were like, oh, you were live for like, and I was like, oh my god, I was accidentally live. And I was just going over like different things. Like I was going over like Tesla and NIO, like different articles I had open and my charts were open. But like, I'm so sorry. I was just like, yeah, it was crazy times. But we're gonna go over a lot of different things. I'm very excited for the markets. We have about, let's see, 7 minutes till the markets open. I hope you guys are excited. We're gonna go over the earnings reports. There's a lot of interesting earnings coming up. So Workhorse, apparently, I think they're reported pre-market. They're down a little bit over 3%, almost 4%. And the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, as you guys already know, if you guys did get a chance to watch my futures video, we are in the green. So the S&P up over 1.2% and the NASDAQ up over 1.5%. So we are bouncing off the lows from yesterday. TAM, it's K-A-T-T-Y. That's going to be my name. It's Caddy, K-A-T-T-Y. Very excited to have you all on board. So thank you so much for joining in. We're going to do this for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. If we can get over, we'll see. I mean, let's see what our goal is. I mean, NIO is reporting earnings. That's going to be the most important one. Right now, we have about 30 likes. Depending on how many people end up watching, if we can get over, I want to say 2,000 likes on this video, maybe I'll do like a live stream for NIO. Because it'll be pretty late, right? It'll be really late. So let me just put that comment here. So 2,000, actually I'm gonna up that target to 3,000 likes and we live stream for NIO's earnings. What's up Alan, how you doing? Oh, I'm gonna pin that comment here. Alright, so make sure that you drop a like and we will be going live for NIO. It'll be pretty late over here. It'll probably like in the 3 or 4 in the morning. But I'll still do that if we can get over 3,000 likes on this live stream. So AMD, yes, AMD, Palantir, everything is kind of shooting up. So Workhorse is over here. Let's take a look at AMD, up almost 1.5%. So definitely pushing higher, trading as high as $85.75. NIO pre-market, we are also in the green, up over 6% ahead of earnings. If you guys did get a chance to watch my video, we covered a lot of different things. Let's take a look at Palantir. Palantir is up over 5%, almost 6%. Somebody mentioned that they partnered with 3M. Let me take a look if that is the news that actually came out. But that would be a huge partnership, right? So, gonna get the day started with a nice cup of coffee. Awesome, that's great. Yep, do whatever makes you guys comfortable. I'm really excited. S&P 500 prediction for the day. It's kind of difficult to understand where exactly we're going to close. Let's take a look at S&P over here. So, and then we're going to break down the earnings as well. So right now on the daily chart, we are still bouncing off the lows of the 50 EMA. That's exactly the level that we kind of validated on January 29th. I'm expecting S&P at least a retest highs of 38.75. Kind of get aligned with this 21 EMA and this previous resistance, right? So if I were to kind of map this, you'll notice that this right here is going to be the previous resistance for the S&P 500. So to answer your question, that right there, the previous resistance is what I'm expecting the S&P 500 to at least retest up to 38.75. That's going to be my kind of like my price target, at least on the day, because we're already up over 1.5%. So we'll see. Gadiel, give you a shout out. Shout out to Gadiel. Thank you for joining in. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I do apologize if it's not the right way to say that. Will Tesla hover over 700? So that's a great question. So, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? All right, that's the S&P. This right here is the SPY ETF. All right, so let's take a look at Tesla real quickly. I do want to go over some heat maps as well. There's a lot of things that I've got to prepare for you guys. So this right here are going to be some economic recovery indicators that we're going to look at. So very, very interesting stuff. This is going to be 50 companies to watch in 2021. This was from Bloomberg Business Week. So there's a lot of companies that we're going to go over here. A lot of companies with a lot of fundamentals, financials. Very, very excited about that as well to share with you guys. This right here are going to be some other metrics, so vote of confidence and some debt and some credit confirmation, so like all those things. Very, very excited about that as well. So this right here is going to be the heat maps. Where are we going to end up? Are we going to see more reds on the screen or more greens on the screen? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? What are we going to see here as soon as the markets open? This may actually be delayed a little bit. I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll see. So you guys already know, like the past couple weeks have been absolutely, so if you go over to 1 week performance, let's take a look at how the markets did, right? Absolutely brutal. Amazon, Tesla getting killed over 13%. Tesla was down. Amazon over 4%. Apple over 6%. This was the weekly performance. Let's go over to the month. So month of February, thank God it's over, right? Thank God the month of February is behind us. But Tesla down almost 22%. Apple over 14%. So absolutely brutal. Financials, energy is doing really well. But let's take a look at year to date. So year to date, you'll notice financials, energy is doing relatively better than consumer cyclicals, automation, Apple, so on and so forth. But I also want to break down ARK Invest's video. Kathy Wood actually put one out recently. So let's go over to this. Let's go over to research. And then this right here is going to be ARK Invest, right? So I do want to break this down after the markets opens. Very, very important stuff that she goes over the rising yields and a lot of other things as well. So we got about a minute, less than a minute left for the markets to open. So very, very excited about that. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Make sure that you drop a like. If you get over 3,000 likes, we're potentially going to do a live stream for NIO's earnings as well. Very, very excited. You guys already know what my estimates are and what I'm expecting out of NIO's earnings call. So we'll see where the markets open. It's it's interesting, and we'll see how tech behaves. Rest of the day. So we're gonna go over to here. So S&P up over 1.3%, NASDAQ up over 1.6%. So we're definitely seeing a lot of momentum. Let's go over to the 1 minute chart. And let's go over to Tesla as well over here down below. So Tesla's going to be down below. The markets are now almost going to be open in about 10 seconds. And we got Apple down left. So let's see. Let's take a look. We are up quite a bit. Apple's up. Ooh, we are seeing a morning sell-off a little bit. SPY's pushing higher. Let's take a look at the Qs, up over 1.7%. Tesla with a morning spike, almost 2.8% on the day. Let's see if we have that heat map up and running. Not yet, because it's a little bit delayed, but definitely a lot of volatility coming in. So top right, we've got the NASDAQ, so that's going to be the Qs. This right here is going to be the S&P pushing higher on the 1 second chart, up over 1.5%. This right here is going to be Tesla. A lot of volatility for Tesla as well. So pre-market for my main account, I did some purchasing today. I picked up PayPal and I picked up ARKG. That's going to be the Genomics ETF for ARK Invest. Yeah, I mean, ARK Invest, anything under $100 for me is going to be a strong buy. I'm going to continue to kind of average in and build out a much bigger position. I actually did have ARKG in the past, but I did ended up kind of exiting and trimming my position, so I'm kind of in the process of rebuilding that in the future. But the S&P now up over 1.5%. The NASDAQ is kind of pulling back, up just about 1.6%. This right here is going to be Apple, is going to be the main culprit because of the pullback in the morning. So we are up just about 1.9%. Tesla, again, trying to stay up there, up over 2%. We've got NIO up almost 6%, trading as 40 at 51. And then Alibaba also up over 1.5%. Visa up over 1.8, Palantir up over 4.7. Shout out from Canada, shout out from Canada. So Tesla up over 2% now, trading is at 690. So look at the high for the day, right? 694.80. So if you guys did get a chance to watch my previous video, we mentioned that $695 is going to be the really, really strong resistance that Tesla needs to break out of, right? So 695 is going to be the level to watch for Tesla right now. And this right here is going to be the 5-minute chart. We are kind of struggling at that $695, $700 per share. So let's take a look at some of the other stocks. So Palantir up over 4.5%, hovering over $25. Apple now up over 2%. So this right here is pushing higher on the 1-minute chart. The Qs are pulling back, right? So we are pulling back a little bit for the NASDAQ. And this right here, S&P up over 1.5%. Ooh, quite a bounce for the Qs here. So GME is up over 5% if anybody's interested. QuantumScape is up over 3%. Let's take a look at Amazon up over 1%. Facebook, Square, Microsoft. We've got Shopify up over almost 2%. AMD kind of selling off a little bit, hovering over $85. So we really need to see if Apple kind of holds or breaks out of 124, right? That's the high for the day, like exactly at 124. Absolutely crazy. First 10 minutes are sell-off city. We'll see. We'll see. We are seeing some profit taking for both Apple and Tesla in the morning. I mean, they did sell off from the highs of 695 for Tesla, trading as low as 690, and then Apple at 124, now trading at 123. NVIDIA, strong company in my strong opinion, like NVIDIA and AMD both. Very, very solid, but it's come down substantially. So anything at close to 515 is going to be a strong buy for myself for NVIDIA, and for AMD anything close to about $81 is going to be a strong buy. QQQs again pushing higher, trying to stay up there. Ooh, Tesla, look at that, 692. And this is the 1-second chart. That's why it's moving much faster than the 1 minute. So let me go over to the 1-second chart for Apple as well. So definitely a lot of volatility coming in to the open. So we're only about 5 minutes in. NIO is so strong today. I agree. It's up what? 4.8%, almost 5%. It needs to close above $50. That's the biggest resistance that NIO has, is a breakout over $50. That would really shift the trend for NIO. So Tesla kind of hovering over that 695 level. We'll see if it kind of breaks out. So you'll notice how much resistance we have. Oh, there it is. We are breaking out. We just need to break over 700 now. 700 is going to be the biggest level that we need to break out of. For Apple, it's going to be 124. For SPYs, we are already breaking out over 385. So I think pretty much almost everything is in the green right now, unless we turn red, which NVIDIA just did. We just turned red for NVIDIA. Q's still trying to stay up there. The S&P is also still trying to stay up there. We'll see if any of the heat maps. Finally a day to breathe, I agree. Let's see where Workhorse is. Definitely pushing higher. There's a lot of volume that came in. So $16 right now. Ooh, that's a pretty significant sell-off across the board. You'll notice Apple, Tesla, S&P, and the Qs, they all just went down. And this is after 9:35. So just from this last minute, what happened here? So 697, the high of the day for Tesla. 124. Wow, we are selling off on the 1 second. We are pulling back substantially right now. But all in all, I mean, it's still a pretty green day. So you know, we'll see how everything ends up. Let's take a look at some of the other stocks and some airlines and cruise lines. So DraftKings up over $65 per share. Wow, DraftKings definitely pushing higher. I think it just made a new all-time high, $65.25. That is amazing. That is phenomenal for DraftKings. I mean, it was validating the support. So if you were kind of watching the analysis, it was kind of validating this $55 support kind of here before breaking out to the upside. Then we got Wayfair, Etsy, Trade Desk, CrowdStrike, Roku. They're all in the green. Vroom also reports their earnings. All right, so this right here are going to be the earnings for this week. We've got Workhorse already reporting earlier, I think. So today after the close, we've got NIO and Zoom. They're going to be two biggest ones, and of course we've got Lemonade also reporting after the earnings after the close today. So those are going to be three really big ones that I'm going to be watching. Berkshire Hathaway also reported. Not really interested in that one, but let me know if there's any other companies that you guys are really interested in terms of earnings, right? For me, I'm going to be interested in NIO, Zoom, and Lemonade are going to be three really big ones for today. But moving forward tomorrow, of course, we got Target, we've got Fubo TV. I know a lot of folks would be interested in that one. We've got Sea Limited, we've got Kohl's, and let's see, we've got, that's about it. I mean, that's most of the earnings that I'm personally going to be watching other than these three right here. Is Snap reporting? Oh, Clover Health would be a good one too. Clover Health would be a good one. But then on Wednesday, we've got Snowflake. That's going to be a big one. Splunk, Vroom, Okta. They're all going to be really, really big ones to watch. And then we've got Dollar Tree. Not so much, but I know that a lot of people kind of invest and trade in Dollar Tree as well. And then on Thursday, we've got Costco. We've got Slack, and that's about it. Purple, maybe, BJ's, Kroger. Those are going to be some cyclical value plays. And then on Friday, there's not really much to kind of go over. So mostly it's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday that are going to be big ones. And of course today after NIO's report, that's going to be really interesting. But now the NASDAQ down to 1.3%. Let's switch over to the 5 minutes and kind of understand what exactly is going on. So this right here, massive spike at the open, and right now we are seeing a little bit of a pullback for the S&P 500. And this right here, wow, what a massive sell-off. Not a massive sell-off, but pullback at the open for the NASDAQ at the open. So now we're up only about 1.3%. And Tesla also kind of pulling back after the open. So we are making low of day. And this right here is going to be Apple. Also pulling back after the open as well. DraftKings just broke out of $66 per share, so absolutely crazy momentum, up over 7%. Let's take a look at ChargePoint. So ChargePoint, this is going to be the new stock, trading as low as $32, $33 per share. It's up close to 7%. This is going to be the Switchback Energy Corporation after the merger. So this is going to be the 5-minute chart from 8 a.m. So we are pushing higher, definitely. So earnings chart can be found on earningswhisper.com. That's a website that you can actually go to and find this earnings chart that goes over a lot of different companies and when they're reporting on what day. So very, very helpful. Is it too late to get into NIO? In my strong opinion, it's I could easily see this stock, at well over $100 per share. Of course, there's been a lot of weakness and a lot of sort of bearish sentiment on the stock. But in my strong opinion, we could easily see this hitting as high as $95 to $100 per share. Because think about it, like China is going to be 3 times, if not 4 times bigger of a market for electric vehicles than the United States. And NIO is one of the leaders in that space, right? Of course, the delivery numbers are not as substantial as Tesla, but they're gonna get up there, right? They're gonna, in my opinion, they're gonna do 100,000 vehicle deliveries in 2021. they're also going to have those vehicle margins, those gross margins to basically justify their valuation. So even if it does come down to $40-$45 per share, I'm going to continue to add more to my position, and I will, I want to see where this company goes with battery as a service, and how it kind of performs in China and how it competes with Tesla as well. So my price target is going to be roughly at 95 to close to about $100 per share for NIO. So I could easily see that in the future as well. So Tesla definitely pulling back, trading as low as 687 now. So we are up just about 1.7%. Apple, however, is pushing higher. It's up over 2%. Very, very bullish on Apple as well. My price target is at close to 175 for fiscal year 2021. So very, very excited about Apple and their potential partnership with an EV manufacturer as well that we're going to see sometime, relatively soon, maybe in the next 3 to 6 months. We'll see.
We have pretty good numbers here in the biggest divisions of Morgan Stanley.
Also, this Friday, the jobs report comes out, so keep a close eye on that as well. It's going to basically determine where the unemployment rate goes, and that's one of the things that the Federal Reserve is going to be very, very interested in, right? Did we pass the lowest point of the recent sell-off? Dave, it's kind of hard to say because if you were to look at the S&P, we're bouncing off the 50 EMA, right? That's the resistance I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream is going to be 38.75, right? That's going to be this sort of white line you guys see on the chart because that is the previous resistance we got rejected at. And high for the day is 38.71. So even though we are kind of validating that 50 EMA, but we are getting rejected somewhat at that 38.75. And when you talk about the NASDAQ is already kind of trading below those moving averages, at least below the 21 EMA. Today we did gap up a little bit, so the support to watch is going to be sitting roughly at 13,250, 13,245, so kind of like this level, and we are trading below or like in between that 21 EMA and the 50 EMA. So that's going to be really, really important for us to see which way does the NASDAQ actually break out. Vishal, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate that. I'm glad the videos have been helpful. Let's talk a little bit about Unity Software. Unity Software, a lot of people have been asking about it. It's up over 2%. Some of those support levels getting validated. So $100 was kind of like the level that I mentioned in my previous live stream. So right now we are seeing a significant sell-off and a lot of weakness, but that's where the money is made, right? The money is made in all these weaknesses and all this fear in the markets where you are aggressive enough to take advantage of those opportunities, right? If you are seeing this company as being undervalued, which I most certainly did, or am seeing this at close to $100, $110 with a lot of growth potential in the future, we've also covered this on the channel. It's easily, no doubt that this stock can easily hit as high as $145, $150 per share if they continue to grow at those rates. They basically told us that they're going to be growing at close to 25 to 30% rate of return, or like year-over-year growth. I think it was for the next 3 to 4 years. But again, that's substantial growth for the company, and they are going to do really, really well in my strong opinion as the gaming industry continues to grow. But the S&P, again, pushing higher to 386. Apple is basically one of the companies that's driving most of the moves, 2.3% up. Let's take a look at Tesla is up over 2%, Square up over 1.8%. Let's take a look at Amazon. So Amazon is up close to 1%. We've got Facebook. So Fubo TV is up over 6% in anticipation of the earnings. Winston, that's a great idea. I mean, and a lot of people have been telling me to do that, to change my kind of like my channel name. Maybe I'll do that, but it's kind of like more consistent. And by the way, if you guys want to follow, connect with me on Twitter and Instagram, it's going to be the same exact name as I have on Instagram as well. Fun fact, I did some research, and China has a large stake in NIO. The American stock is a shell company and will never be paid out. In short, the stock is only worth one. Yeah, I've actually looked into that as well. But when you talk about the ADRs, which is going to be American Depository Receipts, there's a lot of companies that have a very similar structure as to what you're mentioning, Gwen. I mean, Alibaba is also a company that's kind of formed in the Cayman Islands, and they raise capital through U.S. investors through these ADRs, right? It's not to say that investors won't get paid. I mean, Alibaba, as big of a company as it is, I trust in the management of Alibaba. I trust their practices as well. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's always going to be risk involved regardless of where you're investing, right? Whether it's the United States, whether it's in Europe or China, because there's always different corporations and LLCs and all these different things that are going to form. So it's a very similar thing as to what Alibaba is doing, right? So NIO is no different. They're also doing these ADRs that's helping them raise capital as well. So Apple pushing higher, up over 2.3%. Tesla's still struggling. And that's what's leading to the Qs kind of struggling as well, and so is the S&P 500. So right now we are potentially forming some type of a shooting star, because we are the sellers are kind of stepping in to bring us down a little bit. So we'll see if we actually continue to make this uptrend push up higher, or if we do kind of pull back, sell off a little bit. So let's take a look at Palantir. So Palantir hovering right around $25. You know, there's not really much to go over. Let's take a look at Palantir over here. This right here is going to be the chart. So again, $25, it's hovering right at that level. Like this right here, $25, that's the support. Again, I will turn that into a support, you know, during the market update if Palantir successfully closes above 25. But that's about it. I mean, there's not really, I'm just continuing to kind of like buy in, accumulate more shares. And I've done my fundamental analysis on it. So if I were to kind of bring that up, let's take a look. So, you know, if you guys did get a chance to watch my video on Palantir, these are some pros and cons that I have. You don't actually have to go over this because it can take up a long time. But this right here are going to be some of their earnings, their Q4 2020 earnings. The only thing that kind of surprised me was the fact that they are projecting to grow at about a 30% year-over-year growth in the future, right? So if you were to take into account, let me just find that really quickly. So yeah, right here. So they basically say that, you know, their 5-year outlook is about $4 billion in 2025, right? $4 billion in 2025, and right now they are trading at a market cap of just about 43 billion. So that's going to be this right here, 43.7 billion. So that's the only thing that's a little bit of a cause for concern, because if you were to take into account a 43 billion market cap today, and if you were thinking about 4 billion in 2025, then that basically gives us what, a 10 times price to sales ratio today, right? So that's a bit richly valued. So that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of holding off. I'm still accumulating on red days, but I'm a little bit cautious with the company as well. So this right here is fiscal year 2021 revenue growth of 30%, and they just grew by 47, right? So that was coming in from 2019 to 2020. So they're basically going down from 47% to 30% year-over-year growth. So the biggest thing for them is going to be how many contracts they actually win, how many agencies and commercial clients they actually bring on board. But for now, I mean, it's down quite a bit. That's why we're seeing the selling pressure kind of get exhausted a little bit. Keep a close eye at $25 all the way as low as $22.50 for Palantir moving forward. So Palantir, I have a price target of close to $45 to $50 per share, but that's a little bit far out. And, you know, a lot of people did not like that, because when I put that out in my Palantir video, they basically said that my estimate was way off, and they see Palantir at close to $100 and $125 or somewhere around there by the end of 2021. But like, I mean, that's, you know, it's you can have a debate about that, and we need to really understand, like, how is that estimate going to be achieved, you know, based on what revenues, right? The company estimates 1.2 billion, or close to 1.3 billion, 30% growth. So they did just over $1 billion in revenues, and they're forecasting 1.3 billion in revenues this year. You know, what is going to drive that growth, right? Is it going to be momentum? Is it going to be a lot of catalysts? Is it going to be revenues? Is it going to be valuations? So, you know, those are things that we have to understand. I mean, especially with the rising yields, because that's the biggest thing. A lot of the valuations are getting into play now because of the rising yields. You know, the yields were at 1.5, close to 1.67% the other day. So if they reach up to as high as 2%, then the valuations are like a little bit out of control, and we are going to see some pullbacks and drawdowns for tech in the short term. But over the long run, that's what I'm doubling down on, is tech, innovation, disruption. Because at the end of the day, the values and cyclicals are great as a short-term trade to take advantage of vaccinations and distribution of, you know, reopening of the economy. But eventually, where is most of the growth going to be? It's going to be in tech and innovation for the next 5 to 10 years. So that's what I'm basically kind of doubling down on. And Nolas, Palantir is lowballing their financials for the future. I absolutely agree with that, and that is, one of the best points that someone's brought up, and that is another estimate that we take into account, right? Are they going to exceed their own guidance, right? Tesla, for example, they basically have said 50% growth year over year, right, over the next, I think, 4 to 5 years. Don't quote me, but I think that's what it was. So we really need to understand, are they going to be able to do that, or are they going to be able to exceed that, right? NIO, for example, 100,000 vehicles is what I'm expecting for NIO this year. What if they come out and they're like 2021, they're like 200,000 vehicle deliveries, right? Or 150,000 vehicle deliveries. That's when we see most of the upgrades come in from analysts. That's when we see price targets increase. That's when we see valuations kind of explode for these companies. Growth kind of getting like priced in the future. So very, very excited about that. And I would be more than happy if Palantir exceeds their own guidance and comes up with like $5 billion, $6 billion. And I actually even mentioned that in my videos. Like if Palantir does $8 billion in 2025, then it's definitely a strong buy, in my opinion, at these levels, because then the price to sales ratio gets cut in half and they have a lot of potential in the future. Yeah, I mean, I could see it doubling too. I mean, I could easily see Palantir, $50 a share? I mean, it was just at that level a few weeks ago. So that's also a possibility for sure. Nicholas, it's just a one green day for now. It's not a trend reversal yet. So the short answer is it's not a trend reversal because we're not trading above those moving averages. Like, for example, if I were to go over to Apple, you'll notice that we are still like way below these moving averages, right? The 21 EMA, the 50 EMA, like in the grand scheme of things, we still have a lot of work to do. Like in terms of the bulls, like we have to, do a lot of work to get up there. Same with Tesla. You'll notice that we are trading, way below the moving averages. This is just a small, kind of like a green day that we're seeing, kind of recovery measure from last week, which is why I want you guys to be really, really careful, right? It's not something that, you take that as the market kind of recovering back. Let me buy in. Wait. Let's just be a little bit patient, right? Let the markets consolidate a little bit. Let's see a confirmation over those breakouts. Let the pattern reverse fully before kind of getting in. Same thing with Fiverr. Fiverr was on a strong uptrend. It still is, and it's still validating that 21 and the 50 EMA. So this is a confirmation. This is a strong uptrend as it is. Now, if it does end up breaking down below 250, that's going to be the 50 EMA. That's when we're going to see like a trend reversal for Fiverr, and similar to what we've seen for some of these other stocks as well. Al, do you mean Switchback Energy Corporation, SBE, or Switchboard Energy? I'm not sure which one that is. So if you're talking about Switchback Energy, I think the merger went through on February 25th. So they're trading under ticker symbol CHPT. That's going to be ChargePoint. So that's going to be this ChargePoint. That's going to be Switchback Energy Corporation. That was the SPAC that was doing the merger with ChargePoint, right? So that the reverse merger went through, and they're going to be trading under a new ticker symbol. So let's take a look at how many people we have. So 584. So definitely make sure that you drop a like. Really helps out with the channel, and I hope you guys are enjoying so far. Christian, in my opinion, between NIO and XPeng, I would go with NIO. Just because I see them having a much bigger dominance in the Chinese EV market. They've got more models to work with. They're potentially going to come up with better margins, and better margins, so to speak, because of their services and battery as a service model. Once they have an install base of a lot of people using NIO vehicles, then a lot of margins are going to be driven from those battery as a service, software, and some of those segments as well for NIO. So let's take a look at SNDL, Sundial. I haven't really covered this stock in the past, but it really looks really, really speculative. Right now it's kind of like hovering over 130, sort of like this previous resistance we got tapped at 130. Let's look at the 30-minute time frame here. So again, a lot of rejection at that $1.30 support. We got rejected here, we got rejected, 130, 130, 130, and then we broke out. So right now 130 would be the level to watch. Right now we are kind of validating that support here. And we're literally just hovering around 130, right? So that's going to be the support level to watch for Sundial. And the resistance it actually needs to break out of is going to be sitting roughly at 175. So that's the level that we got rejected right here. So going back as far as February 25th. This right here going back as far as February 19th. So double top resistance here. If you do see a breakout over that level, then I could see some more upside potential for Sundial in the future. Alright, so the S&P pushing higher, up over 1.7. Q is also struggling a little bit, but they are up over 1.6. Tesla, again, retesting highs of $698, $700. That's the high for the day at $698. Apple up over 2.5%, so definitely having a bullish green day for Apple as well. AMD just turned red. Again, it's unbelievable. Advanced Micro Devices with a huge sell-off on the 5-minute chart. And we are down about 10 basis points, rating as low as $84.45. Amazon up over 74 basis points, so definitely up. And Lemonade is also up over 2%. Palantir up over 5% now, trading above 25. NIO up over 6%, so that's good. Let's take a look at NIO here. So let's go to the 4-hour chart. This was kind of like the analysis, and we are hovering over that 50 EMA, you guys. So like if we, or actually that's the 21 EMA. So if NIO can close above $50 today, that's going to be a big win for the bulls. It can potentially even change the trend here. I mean, we've been down quite a bit from all-time highs. So coming in from, let's see, February 9th, we were down over 30%, and that's the resistance we need to break out of, right? So you'll notice we got rejected here, we got rejected here, we got rejected, we broke down, so that's going to be the level to watch very closely for NIO, right? So we're kind of hovering right underneath $49 to $50 per share. Tesla, again, getting rejected at $695, $700. Winston, I'm not. It's funny that you ask if I'm invested in Bitcoin or Dogecoin. Cryptocurrencies are actually banned where I'm at, so that's quite unfortunate. So I'm actually going to be taking a position in a stock or something very similar that's tied to the prices of Bitcoin, so that's what I'm going to personally be invested in. So look at that. We've got the map live. We've got greens across the board. Let's refresh this a little bit. My price target for Apple today, although it's really difficult to predict, I'm guessing, or I'm estimating at least 124. I mean, we need to close above 124. That's going to be the biggest thing. So, yeah, although I can't tell you exactly where it's going to close on the day, we are pushing higher. We are up over 3%. But 124 is going to be a really important level to watch for Apple right now. Cool. So definitely we are seeing a lot of bullish bias on a lot of stocks. Q is also pushing higher. Tesla still kind of struggling at 698. So did anybody have a green February? Let me know if you had a green month of February this past month when everything was selling off. Did anybody have a green month? I really want to know if you did. Price target on Amazon, Daniel. Long-term price target is roughly at $4,000, but we'll see if that gets hit. Because Amazon is also a stock that's just like really. Oh, it might be. Hold on one second. Alright, should be much better. Red, slightly green, up 8% on February. Kenny, that's awesome. That's really good. That's really good. That's great. Congratulations. Up 8% in February. That's really good. red February, but not too bad. I looked at my portfolio. I was up like a little bit in January, and then in February it was just like all the way down. Just crazy. But February it's looking like we're starting off the day, like starting off the month at least, on a green note. So we'll see where that ends up. And if you guys want to get access to our Patreon, again, the link is going to be down in the description below. We have our growth portfolio there. Wow, S&P and NASDAQ really pushing higher on the day. Tesla is the only one that's kind of... Oh, this is Amazon. Let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla did push up as well. It needs to break out over 700, guys. 700 is going to be the biggest one that it needs to break out of. So just to give you guys an update here, let me see if I can actually share. So yeah, I mean, in what is it, February, I took a beating in my portfolio as well. I mean, I think I was down like close to about $10,000 in February alone. So that was a pretty red week, or red month to begin with. So let's take a look. Ali, I don't trade options. Unfortunately, I don't trade options. Although it's something that I'm trying to get into, like leap calls. But that's something that we will kind of like explore later. All right, so this right here is the current situation, the damage. Let's take a look at our growth portfolio. So this is the one that we actually started. We're still down on this portfolio. We have Palantir, Tesla, and AMD. So 65 shares of Palantir. Tesla, 8 shares. We're still kind of building out a position on that. And AMD, we have at about 160 shares. So I do have a lot of conviction on AMD as well. Because I strongly believe that Advanced Micro Devices, that the company that it is, easily could be worth, hitting as high as $100, maybe $120, right? That's kind of like my estimate on Advanced Micro Devices. Tesla, of course, you guys know, and then Palantir as well. You guys know. We'll cover the VIX in just a little bit. So those are the only 3 stocks. Again, if you guys want to get access to that portfolio, the link is going to be down in the description below. You'll get access to our Discord and our TradingView charts. So that's going to be accessible to you guys as well. It'll automatically sync every time I make those changes as well. But just wanted to give you guys a quick update on where we're sitting. And again, I took a pretty big hit in February. It was down quite a bit in February. The whole portfolio was completely red. But nonetheless, I mean, that's the market, right? Those are the opportunities that we need to take advantage of. And I've repeatedly said on this channel is to never panic sell. Nothing good comes out of panic sell. I mean, even if you were to kind of look at hindsight when we had the March crash, those were nothing but great buying opportunities. And again, continue to kind of dollar cost average on companies that you believe are going to be worth a lot more in the future, right? Just because the market decides that your 100 shares of XYZ stock are worth less doesn't mean that it's going to stay down there, right? It's the market, right? It goes up and down all the time. And there's going to be down days, there's going to be up days, and I prefer having red days and red weeks more often than I prefer days like these, is because it gives me the opportunity to buy more of the companies that I absolutely love, enjoy investing in. I want to be an owner in those companies and hold for the long term, because that's where the money is made, right? Is during sell-offs and during fear. Yep, so AMD is gonna be my strong position, and in fact, we also broke down the global chip shortage for Advanced Micro Devices. That's kind of like the short-term trend for the stock is what's... Ooh, look at that. Tesla over 698, 699. Needs to break out of 700. That's the big target that we need to see for Tesla. NIO up almost 7%. It needs to break out over $50. So actually, let me go ahead and put a notepad so we can actually talk a little bit about price targets. So, all right, so Tesla on the day. Tesla needs to break out over 700. Break out and close above 700, right? That's important. Not just a breakout intraday, but it needs to close above 700 as well. Apple needs to break out over 125. We've got NIO needs to break out over 50, and we've got let's see, Amazon. Oh, this is gonna take some time for Amazon. Is a breakout over 32.50. I mean, that's just almost never gonna happen, I feel like. All right, what else? DraftKings. DraftKings is already making a new all-time high. So we just covered DraftKings over here. It's already making a new all-time high, so the price target is quite challenging for us to understand. And it really depends on the legalization for Florida, for New York. There's going to be a lot of things that we need to consider there. Tesla, $702. Again, it needs to close above 6,700 because that's the most important thing. And then let's take a look at some other stocks. Palantir. So Palantir just needs to stay above $25, I would say. That's kind of like a strong base for Palantir. And every time I look at the stock, it's trading roughly hovering over $25, right? So that's going to be the level to watch for Palantir. Let's take a look. So AMD. So let's take a look at AMD. And AMD needs to close above $85, I would say. So we'll see if that happens. Right now AMD is at 84.54, so slightly over there. SNDL, we just broke down, needs to break out over, what was it, 175. 175 is going to be the level to watch for Sundial. Around there, like 173, 175, give or take a few cents, is going to be that level. Li Auto has been on this aggressive sell-off. I mean, it kind of broke down. It needs to break out over 26.50. That's going to be the next resistance, and kind of break out over this 21 EMA as well. So those are going to be some levels to watch for Li Auto. Breakout over, let's see, what is it, 26.50 levels. So, all right, we'll see for that. CHPT. It's kind of hard because I had my whole analysis on switchback. Now it's just like, now it's not even trading. So if you were to look at this, yeah, I mean, switchback is not trading. CHPT is not trading. So give this stock a little bit of time, Canal. So we're down about 1%, but give it some time to have more data points for us to analyze, because the RSI, the MACD, nothing's developed yet. Even the moving averages are not even existent. So all we can really do is talk about it from a fundamental standpoint, which in my opinion, the valuation is reasonable. It's not the best. It's not the worst either. So give it some time to actually look at the price action and where it kind of forms that support and resistance. So let's take a look at Apple here. Still hovering over 124. Tesla still hovering around 700. Qs are still up over 1.6. The S&P is up over 1.8. So Lemonade is going to be a good one. Actually, who is that? Asking for Lemonade. Chitra, right. Hi, nice to see you again. Welcome on board. So Lemonade, 129 is going to be a critical level that it needs to break out of right now. Let's take a look. So this right here is a very interesting pattern, because we had Lemonade, also one of the stocks that was getting short squeezed, or like getting shorted, and then we had the squeeze kind of like the same time when GME, AMC, Palantir, they had a very similar pop all the way to highs of 182 for Lemonade, and then it sold off all the way down to lows of 140. That was a support. We had a breakout over 157. This right here has been a sell-off because of the market. They're also reporting their earnings very, very soon. So let me bring up my earnings calendar. Let's see, they're going to be reporting actually today. So they're reporting today after the markets close. Lemonade is going to report. So very, very interested in that as well, on how well they do. But in terms of its support, I would say like 115, 117 is going to be the new base for Lemonade. At close to $120 actually is going to be the first level of support, and it needs to break out of 129 on the day. It needs to close about 129, $130 on the day. So we're going to put that price target up here as well. So Lemonade needs to see a breakout over 130. Breakout and a close above 130, right? So not just a breakout, but breakout and close above these levels. So that will be the first step of our recovery. That would be the first step of our consolidation, of a potential breakout over those levels, the bulls starting to regain control a little bit. But again, remember, the pattern is still in a downtrend for most of these stocks. We're still trading below the moving averages, so there's absolutely no confirmation on the bullish trend yet. This is obviously coming from like a very severe week and a severe month of February for the markets, which is why we're seeing such massive push higher for these stocks. So Tesla up over $701, Apple at $124.70. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon is selling off down to 31.01, up just about 28 basis points. Palantir hovering over $25 again. A lot of consolidation above $25. Let's take a look at NIO. NIO up to $49, up over 6%. So that's going to be very, very important. Square, I actually no, I picked up PayPal this morning. So Square, I do want to build out a much bigger position in. So let's take a look at Square. It's also down quite a bit from all-time highs. I mean, this right here would not be the worst place to actually start building out a position, right? We're down about 22% from all-time highs. This right here is down over 16%. So, you know, definitely it needs to break out of 244, 245 levels. That's going to be the next resistance to watch for Square, which is going to be sitting roughly over here. So, again, that's also a double top resistance for Square. You guys will notice that we got rejected here a couple times. Vishal, thank you so much. I'll check out NNDM in just a second. I really appreciate the support, by the way. So Square needs to break out of over $245, $248. Those are going to be two levels to watch. Breakout over 245. So again, these are going to be the levels for everybody new joining. Let's see how many people we have watching. Haven't done that in a while. So 620 people. Again, make sure that you drop a like. It really helps out with the channel. These are going to be some levels that it needs to break out of on the day, individual stocks do, so that we can see some more upward bias and some bullish sentiment for these stocks. So let's take a look at when NNDM is reporting their earnings. So it's kind of hard to see where exactly are they investors. So they don't have anything over here. Let's take a look at what TradingView has for us. 3-4 before market for NNDM. So there you go. So this one shows March 18th, and I don't trust TradingView with all these different stats that they put out, especially for the earnings, because they are sometimes inaccurate. But this one shows me March 18th, and then I have somebody basically saying March 4th. So we'll see. We'll see when they report their earnings. So Snowflake also has two sort of support levels. So the first one is going to be sitting roughly at 264. We're hovering right above 265, 264, all the way as low as 240, which got validated on the dip last week on February 23rd. So again, a lot of resistance here, a lot of support here. So this right here, validated support, all the way as low as this level. And then there's a resistance, you know, roughly exactly where we're trading. So old resistance levels, again, acting as new support here. So it just needs to break, it just needs to stay above 265 for Snowflake. So NIO pushing higher a little bit. Again, we're just hovering over. Ooh, what a pop from SPY. That's going to be the S&P 500. And Tesla also doing really well. Let's take a look at our heat map. So let's see what's really green, right? So Tesla is, Apple is, Berkshire Hathaway, PayPal up over 3%. Semiconductors, AMD and Nvidia kind of selling off. But other than that, just everything is just straight up green. What do you guys think about the markets today? Is this a dead cat bounce, or are we going to see some more pullbacks for the markets? What do you guys think? For tech and innovation, disruption, some of those other stocks as well. What do you guys think? Finally go up today. Beautiful green heat map. It is. It definitely is. This is what we like to see. But this right here is something that was really interesting. It's like a recovery tracker from Bloomberg that goes over new cases. So you'll notice how, you know, the more orange it is, the worse it is, right? In this case, if it's orange, it's worse. If it's blue, it's better. So you'll notice how new COVID cases have been kind of like relatively decent, more on the worst side, 514,000, 682,000. COVID deaths have also been kind of like the same. Lockdown index, you guys will notice, is eventually getting better. New jobs posting is getting better. So this right here is going to be close to February, or I think January of February 19th. It's getting better as well. Jobless claims have been getting decent. You know, that's like week over week. When we talk about airline passengers, so this right here has also been kind of reasonable. But this right here, the S&P 500, the financial markets, will notice the mortgage applications, absolutely crazy rally for mortgage applications, right? Housing prices, because of the interest rates being so low, getting better over time. Then we've got consumer comfort, oil rigs still getting worse a little bit, steel production, which is a great indication of, you know, manufacturing and all those things. Trucking demand is also really, really important. That goes over freight, logistics, is also getting better and better over time, according to this recovery index. So I found it really interesting. Just wanted to share it with you guys. Let's take a look at if there's anything going on. So the Qs, wow, Tesla up over $707 now, so definitely pushing higher. The Qs also pushing higher, up over 1.8%. Apple is also pushing higher. NIO up over 8%, you guys, look at that. So NIO up almost 48, 50, right? So we are definitely in the greens by a lot. It's trying to get to 50. I agree. It's trying to get to $50. That's going to be the first level that we need to break out of. You know, again, that's the 50 EMA, right? Or the 21 EMA, excuse me. That's going to be the black line right there. We're fighting that resistance. It's going to be really interesting for us to see if we break out or if we get rejected at that level. Tesla still kind of hovering around that 21 EMA as well. That's going to be sitting roughly at $609. $700 is going to be, so to speak, from here. Previous support. So you'll notice how previous resistance at 695, 700. So we are breaking out at that level. But this right here is going to be, let's see, what moving average is that? So that's going to be the 21 EMA on the 4-hour chart for Tesla. So yep, so on the 4-hour chart, again, we've seen rejection at the 21 EMA for Tesla at that level. So we got rejected here. We got rejected here. We are getting consistently rejected. And right now, once again, similar to NIO, we're retesting $709, $710 per share. Apple at 125? Wow. Let's go. Let's go. The S&P up over 2%. Look at that spike from the Qs. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon's still struggling. And this is despite not having Amazon. Microsoft, that's probably contributing more to the move, up for 1.7%. Let's take a look at Google. Up almost 89 basis points. So this right here is probably the reason why we're seeing such a spike in the broader markets as well. So again, this right here, the S&P 500 and the Qs, we are seeing definitely a lot of momentum for them. This right here as well. This is Tesla trading as high as 708. And Google also pushing higher. Let's take a look at Netflix. up over 1.5%. We got Visa up over 2%. Palantir still hovering over $25. AMD somewhat in the green as well. NIO hits $100 this year. I don't think there will be a sell-off intraday or in the afternoon. I think we're going to potentially close green. Because usually when days are this strong, it's very difficult for the bears to kind of regain control unless there's a significant catalyst, you know, for the stimulus or from like the Federal Reserve. Like if those things happen, if macroeconomic trends change, then we can potentially see a sell-off. But usually from a technical standpoint, I mean, when days are these strong, like even from like a bearish perspective, when the markets are down over 2%, it's very, very difficult for us to buy it back up or break even or push us back in the green. So in my opinion, markets are going to close green. The degree at which we close green is going to differ intraday. So, you know, right now the NASDAQ is up close to 2%. We could maybe see it up 1.5%. Same with the S&P, it's up over 2%. Maybe we could see it like 1.7, 1.8%. So VIX down to 23.7. Very, very important level. Thank you for reminding me. It's down over 15%. So again, we're still in that territory. We still need to kind of watch that 20 level. Because that is the support in between that green rectangle. DraftKings new high. Wow, the markets are just pushing higher. Look at Netflix, just up over 1.7% all of a sudden. Let's take a look at Apple. 125. Again, these right here are going to be the levels that we need to watch for individual stocks. So breakout over 700. Actually, I'm going to put 700 and 709. Apple 124. Breakout and a close above that level. We are breaking out of these levels intraday. Let's take a look at Baidu really quickly. So again, you'll notice how the 21 and the 50 EMA are acting as a resistance for this stock, sitting at $299, $300. That's the level that it needs to break out of. It's just going to be sitting roughly over here at close to $300 per share for Baidu. So again, a lot of rejection here for Baidu stock, so that's going to be the level that I would watch at close to $300 per share. So we'll add that to the list. Baidu, breakout over 300. All right, let's talk about Zoom really quickly. Zoom again kind of struggling at that 397, 398 sort of resistance. That's going to be the 50 EMA. Again, a strong uptrend. Prior to that, we broke down, sold off below the moving averages, and right now we are kind of struggling at that level. So and that's also kind of aligned with this previous resistance. So if I were to kind of bring you guys back, you'll notice how, you know, Zoom kind of got rejected here exactly. So coming in from January 25th, this right here coming in from February 22nd or February 2nd, right? We got rejected a couple of times. So we are perfectly kind of retesting that resistance once again. So it needs to break out over 397, 398, I would say. 398 for Zoom. So again, let's take a look at how many people we have. So guys, make sure that you drop a like. Again, really helps out with the channel. Again, right now we have 600 people watching. So we should easily be able to hit at least 600 likes. Right now we're at 391. So I really do appreciate you guys a lot. So do you guys want to go over ARK Invest, Kathy Wood's breakdown? I mean, these are notes that I took. We can continue to look at the markets, or this is something that's really important too if you guys want to go over this. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch my video that I broke down on this, we can go over it right now. If you don't want to watch, if you don't want me to go over it, then again, I mean, this is like pretty boring stuff. Like it's interesting to me, but I don't know about you guys. So if you want, I can go over this it's just a few slides that we can kind of go over my notes as well. So let me know if you want me to go over this or if you want us to continue to look at the markets. So Apple up over 3% now, 125, definitely pushing higher with a lot of momentum. All right, so we'll go over it very quickly. So basically what they meant, so we're going to talk about the monetary policy, the fiscal policy. Monetary policy is controlled by the Fed. So that's going to be the Federal Reserve. They control the monetary policy, they control the interest rates, and they basically have two goals with the market and the labor market, right? There's going to be full employment. So it's going to be this right here, the unemployment rate. They need it to come down below 4%, 3%. That's going to bring the economy back to full employment. And the second thing is going to be inflation. That's going to be driving the markets. Very, very important stuff. And they're foreseeing a 2% inflation rate year over year, and then they're going to let it run over 2% over the long term, right? That's the monetary policy from the Federal Reserve, and that's what Cathie Wood also broke down. She basically said that M2, which is going to be money supply, is still growing substantially. It's pretty crazy to think that 25% of the money was printed in 2020, right? So very, very crazy to think about that 1/4 of our dollars, of our US dollars, were created just last year. So there's a rapid growth in there, and there's a support from the monetary policy. So the Federal Reserve has consistently said that we're going to be there supporting the markets with these corporate bond purchases. We're going to keep inflation rates, or we're going to keep interest rates down to near zero, and we're not going to raise those anytime in the future. This right here is going to be fiscal policy. So we know that the $1.7, $1.9 trillion stimulus package got passed in the House, and we're going to find out if it does get passed in the Senate as well, right? That's going to be what we're going to be waiting for, and that could also be what the market is pricing in today, is the stimulus, potential stimulus. But there's a lot of people that are actually worried about the leverage in the system. But there's going to be two different types of deflations in the future, is what Cathie Wood basically says, is that there's going to be a good deflation and there's going to be bad deflation. The bad deflation is going to happen with companies that are over leveraged and companies that have a lot of debt. And she also brings up an example with IBM, which has a lot of debt, and they're going to have to cut their prices to service that debt. And the good deflation is going to happen with tech, innovation, and growth, which is where we're going to see those cost reductions for a lot of those technologies. For battery technologies, you know that NIO and Tesla are working on batteries. They're going to substantially decrease the cost of the battery. We know that biotech and genome companies are going to reduce the cost of genome editing as well in the future. So she basically says that if anyone who's familiar with guns and butter, I've actually read about that as well. All this money printing and all this fiscal stimulus, eventually we'll have to pay for this, right? And the hopes, or the estimate, is that the economy will grow its way out through innovation, through tech in the future. Now, what we're seeing is in the markets that personal income, that's going to be ticker symbol PI, and we'll break it down on my TradingView charts as well. Personal income is up, right? Because salaries, wages, social security, fiscal stimulus, you're basically handing people out the money through the stimulus checks. So personal income is up, but consumer spending is actually down, right? So that's going to be ticker symbol CS. So people are not spending that much money into the markets, right? So personal income is up, consumer spending is down, which is going to be the third thing that is going to be affected by these two metrics. I want you guys to answer in the live stream. If personal income is up, consumer spending goes down, what is the third thing that's actually going to benefit? And don't look over here. So let me know what you guys think is going to be the third thing. If personal income goes up, consumer spending goes down. What do you think is actually going up? What is going to be the third thing that's actually getting affected with this? Savings. Yep, you're absolutely right. So the savings rate actually goes up, right? And we've seen historical savings rate for the US economy, for households, for Americans. And we've seen that for 33%. So if you were to kind of quickly, let's just break down our alternative charts. It's going to be this over here. So this right here is the personal consumption, for households. Actually, that's the put-call ratio. Let me bring up this is going to be the personal income, right? So personal income absolutely skyrocketing, right? Up over 10% month over month. So we're seeing substantial increase in personal income because of all the fiscal stimulus. But then when you look at consumer spending, which is going to be, let's see. personal consumption expenditure, that was down substantially, right? So this right here was a significant drop in personal consumption. And then when you look at the savings rate, let's see where it is. So personal savings rate, it's sitting at 20%. It's still historical levels, but it's still higher. It was at one point, it was trading as 33%, right? So definitely record levels. So that basically means that Americans and households have a lot of firepower, like meaning a lot of money on the sidelines, cash sitting on the sidelines for Americans. And that's exactly what she mentioned as well. And that's going to be like capital spending is strong. They think the economy is really, really strong, and we don't need all this quantitative easing in the future. But the Federal Reserve is still going to be there to kind of provide that to the markets and to the people. So basically what's happening right now is like, let's say that you have $1, right? And I have $1. Now the Federal Reserve comes in and gives us each another $1, right? So we both now have $2 each. But what we're doing is, what the economy and what the people are doing is, we're saving that $1 that the Federal Reserve gives us. So we're not spending that $1. We're putting that into a checkings account or a savings account or money market account, and we're still only utilizing that $1, right, that we originally had. So what that does is, that doesn't do anything, like that doesn't increase inflation because we're not spending that money. That's basically not, the money is not coming into the economy, and we're not doing anything with it, right? We're not even putting that into the market. So the money flow is kind of locked up, which is why we're not seeing inflation go up even after all this money supply, which is interesting. So that's basically kind of like where we are right now with inflation. So they can keep printing that money, but people are thinking, the fear is that once all that money kind of goes into the economy once again, we're going to see a hyperinflation, and inflation is going to shoot up over 2%, right? That's the target that the Federal Reserve have, but it may shoot up over 2% and above their own target, and that's what's driving kind of like the fear on the markets as well. Did I lose that? No. Okay. So reading further, you'll notice that the high valuation side of the market, which is going to be big tech and FANG names, including Tesla, getting hit the hardest because of the rapid rise in 10-year yields. The long-term bonds, earlier people thought that we would have trouble getting past 1%, and now it looks like we could potentially be headed to 2%. That's what ARK Invest Kathy would mention. And she also talks about how bond traders she also talks about how bond traders were basically having these record shorts on the market, on the bond market. So tell me this, what happens to bond yields when bond prices go down, right? So there's two things about bonds in general. There's the yields, which are going to be the coupon rates, and there's going to be bond prices. When bond prices go down, what happens to the yields? Let me know if you guys know the answer to that. So when bond prices go down, what happens to the yields or the bonds? They go up. Perfect. You guys are absolutely on point. I don't even know why I'm explaining this. You guys know everything already. But bond prices, when they go down, yields go up. So that's exactly what she's saying, is that she's seen record levels in shorting for bond prices, which is why we've seen bond prices go down, yields go up, which is essentially resulting in equities to go down as well, right? That's why equities are moving down as well. So she basically goes on by saying that we're going to see a short-term pause in the bond market because of this overextended bearishness that we're seeing in bond prices, right? Because of all the shorts, we're going to see some type of a short-term pause. And then moving forward, she basically just says that the Federal Reserve is going to be led by the market. So the markets are going to lead the Federal Reserve in the future. So she goes back to 2016. So she refers back to 2016. She basically says that we were in a very similar situation when the rates were rising, when bond yields were pushing higher. And it was a really bad time for them. And they saw significant rotation out of tech, out of growth, out of disruption into some of those values and cyclical plays. So similar rotation out of tech over to value and cyclicals, which is a very good thing. It's a really good thing. And the reason why that is because that basically helps the bull market kind of broaden out to other sectors. So when you look at the 1990s and 2000s, during the telecom and tech bubble burst, we had the bull market kind of narrow into like a one sector, right? Everybody was chasing after the next tech stock, the next public company that was in like doing something with internet. So it was a lot of capital chasing very few opportunities, and it was very narrow. But right now, she's saying that the bull market is kind of getting broadening out over to other sectors, which is great for tech, disruption, and innovation. And that's also what I mentioned in one of our discords, is I basically said that right now we're seeing the growth getting priced out of these stocks. So for example, Tesla, we're taking growth out of the picture once again because there was too much growth priced in, and right now we're taking growth out of the picture once again, and the money is kind of going over to, let's say, cyclicals, value, airlines, cruise lines, whatever the case may be, which in my opinion gives us a really good buying opportunity because we're getting these as really good deals. And when the money flows back into tech and into innovation and disruption, that's where we're going to see the rally once again, and tech being the leader for the markets as well. So the worst thing that could happen for the market is to continue to narrow, and if only innovation and tech strategies would work or stocks would work. That happened in the tech and telecom bubble. Too much capital chasing too little opportunities too soon, and right now the markets are broadening out to other sectors, which is a very, very good sign about the markets. So the cost of technology was higher back in 1999s and 2000s. There was a lot of sort of concept trading, meaning there was a lot of companies that were trading strictly on a concept. It didn't really have much fundamentals, valuations, or revenues to show for it. But right now, times have changed. This, in my strong opinion, is not a bubble. This is not a tech burst we're going to potentially see. This is simply, a short-term pullback based on the rising yields, and that's exactly what that is. So Q's up over 2%, S&P up over 2.15%, so definitely pushing higher. Apple up over 3%, Tesla up over 4% now, $704. Let's take a look at NIO. NIO kind of fighting that $49, $50 per share level. So it's up over 8% on the day, so definitely very, very interesting push higher for NIO stock as well. The earnings are coming up. We've also broken down the earnings as well in the past, so I'm expecting over $1 billion. I did revise my estimate. I'm expecting a little bit over $1 billion now in revenues because Li Auto beat their expectations, right? They actually came up with over 600 million, I think over $500 million in revenue. So substantial growth in terms of revenues for them. So good for them as well. So Fiverr up over 6%, Palantir still hovering over 25, PayPal up over 4%, 4.5%. Let's take a look at the live stream for CNBC.
Is being overthought. We have to.
So this is an ad, I think.
Is being overthought.
We'll see what they have going on. Oh, we do? No way we got 3,000 likes. Yeah, no way. I knew it. We have 500 people watching. AMD breaking. Let's take a look. Yeah, AMD breaking over $85. So that's going to be the 21 EMA on the 4-hour chart. We'll see. Like this right here was the last time, kind of like the last time we broke out over those two moving averages. Julian, I don't think so. I think today is already a really, really strong green day to begin with. I think NIO is going to extend on that rally. I could easily see that breaking out. Look at the SPY. What is going on with the SPY? See, this is the thing that happens with SPY is that when you have tech and you have healthcare, value like energy, some other stocks, other sectors also pushing higher, so you get the boost from all sectors, right? In the past, we know that SPY was kind of consolidating sideways because tech was selling off and healthcare and financials and energy was pushing higher. But right now we're seeing the push from pretty much all sectors all around, right? We're seeing like a massive just a push higher. So let's take a look at the portfolio really quickly and see where we're at with that. Like we definitely need to recover some of those February losses, am I right? Yes, it's really important for NIO to get back to that uptrending channel and like that ascending pattern. That's going to be the most important thing. Is RKD exploding? Rocket companies? Let's take a look. Oh wow, 11%. Really solid. Yeah, rocket companies, I think also they reported their earnings very, very soon. I think last week is when they reported. All right, so let's take a look. So we're up just about 2%, a little bit over 2% on the day. And again, this right here is going to be the Palantir, Tesla, and AMD on the growth portfolio are going to be some of the biggest positions. And then on my other one, I have mostly like, stocks like, we've got ARKG, we've got LABU, we've got PayPal, Palantir, NIO, Apple, Amazon, Tesla. But this is the one that I'm actually sharing with everybody on the growth portfolio. So if you guys want to get access to that one, again, the link is going to be down in the description below. So RKT was like one of the stocks that we were actually looking at from one of the people that brought it up. But they actually thrive on a low interest rate environment, right? That's the most important thing for rocket companies is if interest rates stay near zero, or again, this is because of the 10-year yields. So look at the 10-year yields right now. They have come down substantially from previous days. So you'll notice how on February 26th, when the yields are pushing higher, we saw profit taking for rocket companies. And since over the weekend, the yields have actually come down from 1.67 to 1.4%. We are pushing higher for RKT, right? This right here is a massive push higher. But again, this is very, very dependent on one sort of commodity, so to speak, and that's going to be interest rates, which is why I'm kind of like a little wavery about rocket companies as an investment, is that, they've also done significant volume in terms of mortgages, but what does the future look like for this company, right? Sam, that's awesome. If you use Fidelity, they're great. I haven't really had any issues with them. They're available anytime you want them. You can call them up. They've got 24/7. I used to have Robinhood, but then I had like a transfer of assets away from Robinhood because of their customer service, which I wasn't very pleased with. So NIO definitely kind of struggling at that $50 level. So you'll notice at the high for the day, $49.85. So literally right at that resistance. So Peloton has been on a consistent downtrend recently, right? It's just been selling off pretty significantly. 34%. It needs to break out over 123. I mean, all stocks now, most of the stocks are kind of retesting their 21 EMA on the 4-hour chart. So that's kind of like the resistance they all need to break out of, right? That's going to be very, very important for Peloton, for AMD, for Apple, for a lot of stocks out there. Look at the Qs. Absolutely monstrous rally on day, up over 2%. Look at the SPYs. There's just no looking back. They're just straight up. Strong green tendies over here. So let's look how green our chart is now. Look at that. Look how green this chart is now. Nvidia is probably the only one on here that's kind of like a mid-cap, large-cap stock that's kind of holding us down. Nvidia, you got to pick it up. You have to pick it up. Intel has you beat. Up over 3% Intel is. So thoughts on Nvidia? Nvidia, again, a strong company. I mean, absolutely no doubt why, you know, anyone should not have stock like Nvidia in their portfolio, especially for like semis and like chipsets. And AMD and Nvidia are going to be two strong plays. In terms of e-commerce, I'm definitely interested in Amazon, Alibaba, Etsy, Shopify. In terms of, you know, it's kind of like those social media tech companies, Pinterest, Facebook, and there was one more. Twitter I recently covered, although it's more of a controversial stock. There's like two sides to the story, and you know, fundamentally speaking, from a business standpoint, it looks like a strong play for the long-term growth. But again, it's kind of controversial of a company. Similar to Palantir, it's like there's like you don't have a middle ground to Palantir. You either like really love the company or you absolutely hate the company. There's no middle ground, because there's a lot of people that are very, very bearish on Palantir. They're like, they believe that the stock is worth like $10 a share, right? And you know, there's like, for Twitter and Palantir are like two companies that people are just like, you know, it's either here or there. It's like no middle ground. Like for Apple, like some of those companies, Amazon, and even Tesla, I feel like people can still find some middle ground, but otherwise it's like a strong battle between the bulls and the bears for some of those stocks. Corey, looks like the bulls are sending a signal. We are sending a signal with this entire market being green today. We are sending a signal. We are alive, and we are not going down without a fight. So very, very green. I'm actually gonna end the live stream here, guys, in about a couple minutes. I just gotta get some dinner. It's like 9:18 p.m. At night, and then of course I'll do like a complete analysis on the markets. You're gonna get the daily market update. You'll get a separate update on NIO with the earnings. You'll get an update with Tesla as well. Is Tesla struggling a little bit? It's up over it's over 700. So as long as it stays above $700, that's gonna be the level to watch. And then Apple, again, I'll give you guys a quick update on what levels to watch. So these right here are gonna be some levels that it needs to close above. So Tesla, breakout over 700 is accomplished. It needs to close above 709. It needs to close above 700, I would say. So close above 700. Apple needs to close above 124. NIO needs to close above 150, like close to 50. Sorry, $50. We'll see if that happens after the earnings, before the earnings. Amazon $32.50, Palantir $25, AMD it's gonna be $85, Li Auto $26.50, Lemonade $130, and then Square is gonna be $245, and Baidu is gonna be $300, and then Zoom is gonna be $395. So there's gonna be levels to watch. All right, guys. So I'll probably put out the daily market update. The markets here close at 2:30 in the morning, but expect that daily market update around like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning here. But then again, 6 p.m. Over at Eastern time, and then I'll put the NIO update and Tesla update as well as soon as the markets close. And then of course the earnings, the resistance, the support levels, what kind of trends we're seeing, how the price action behaves the rest of the day. So definitely thank you so much for joining in. I really do appreciate you guys' support. Again, make sure that you drop a like. It really helps out with the channel. You guys know that. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful, and we'll do this maybe on a regular basis, maybe every other day. Andrew, what's up? Thank you so much for joining in. So maybe we'll do this every other day or every day. We'll see how that goes. So again, to give you guys a quick update, the trend is still towards the downside a little bit because we're still kind of struggling at those moving averages. So take it with a grain of salt for these market rallies, right? So I hope you guys have a great day and enjoy rest of your market. Hope you all have a green day as well. So I'll see you guys in the next video, right?